In this spoiler-free review of the Escape Room in a Box board game series, we'll go over the basic premise of the games, how long you can expect to play a game, and how many players are ideal to have. As well, we'll share our experience of what it is like to play the games as a couple, and give an escape room's team-building appeal, what ways it may actually benefit your relationship to play together. This review is based on our own purchases and play experiences as a couple of The Werewolf Experiment, Flashback, a sequel to the first, and The Walking Dead versions of the games. The first two have fun interrelated stories, although do not need to be played in order and can be standalones, with werewolf/mad scientist laboratory themes with a lot of personality and humor. There's also some nostalgic 80s slang and graphics involved, which are more obvious in the sequel, where the flashback in the title comes in and explains the retro box designs for the first two games. The Walking Dead game has a darker and more serious theme and is based loosely on the popular post-apocalyptic horror television show. However, it requires no knowledge of the show to play or enjoy. These are cooperative board games that are a pretty good at-home alternative to going out to an escape room. With clever gadgets, real locks, keys, and boxes, and three-dimensional plastic or paper puzzles, these board games make for a close replica of actual escape rooms. If you're able to use Amazon's Alexa as a host for the atmospheric music, timer, and hints, there might not be a reason to pay for a more expensive trip out in the real world. That's a great feature if you have young kids, although you may want to play after they go to bed, as you'll need to concentrate and communicate clearly with your partner. They are tabletop games best played side by side, and you may not want small children around either if they're likely to get into your materials, which have small pieces. Most of the puzzles were logical and worked, although sometimes game materials were a bit faulty due to the cheaper plastic they were made of. For instance, the locks often popped open without the combination, which can be easily remedied by turning the dials and ensuring they're locked at the beginning of gameplay. If you don't have Alexa, you can visit the game's website for a spooky soundtrack. While there, check out the Party Planner PDFs, which give you other ideas for a fully immersive themed experience for the first two games, like costumes, decorations, food, and printables, that you could prepare ahead of time. The three different games are more fun than frightening, but would be perfect to play on Halloween, a full moon, Friday the 13th, or to enjoy alongside other scary events like horror movie marathons or The Walking Dead viewing parties. You don't need many supplies before starting to play, other than a couple pencils, an eraser is helpful, and you'll need a timer if you aren't using Alexa. Flashback uses a cool trick involving the use of a freezer, and you'll need some water for The Walking Dead, but otherwise no additional materials are required. The game is incredibly easy to get started without complex rules, and escape room enthusiasts and those who've never stepped foot in one will have no problem getting the hang of the games. Of the three, The Walking Dead is the most challenging and definitely the most rewarding to play, with a more sophisticated puzzle and unique game pieces. Escape Room in a Box games are easier than an average difficulty game in the Exit the Game series. The games are conveniently available on Amazon if you're one of the many people, like parents, who enjoy hassle-free online shopping and quick home delivery. They're not quite as good a value for the money as Exit brand escape rooms. However, still cost significantly less than going out to play as a couple and can be passed along to others. This board game series is a much better experience than escape-type app games we've tried on our devices and phones, with a similar or slightly easier level of difficulty. For that reason, they're a good introduction to escape rooms, especially the first two games in this series, which are easier. These games can only be played by the same individuals one time, but a feature unique to this series is that their repackaging instructions and printable sheets are on their website so that you can pass the games on to a friend. Materials are written on but not destroyed, which makes this task realistic. We found repackaging to be a bit finicky. The online instructions are helpful, however, sizing and printing perfectly in color was a bit difficult with an at-home printer. Instead, we recommend writing answers on scrap paper whenever possible and writing in pencil when you have to. The coloring of the paper actually makes it relatively easy to erase marks after use, so puzzles can be reused. The flashback version of the game can be played in 3 mini-games with a final puzzle using answers from all 3, but this game is still not really replayable after being tried once, unless you divide up the 3 mini-games among players and swap games on the next go-around. The 3 mini-games are short, about 20 to 30 minutes each, and if you complete one mini-game as a group before starting the next, they add up to about a 1.5 hour long game, as the box also indicates. The Walking Dead version is supposed to last 1.5 hours with 4 to 8 players. It took over 2.5 hours for us to complete as a couple, making it a good value given the increased playing time. It would be hard to beat the allotted time with only 2 players, but there's no reason why you couldn't play with fewer people than the box recommends if you're aiming just to complete the game and not beating a time. The box adjusts the amount of time to play the werewolf experience as 1 hour, with the timer going off at that point to determine if you win. However, the two of us needed closer to 1.5 hours when we only used a couple hints. All the games provide a hints book where you can get a bit of help with any of the puzzles, and if you're stuck, you can check the answers book provided with the first 2 games for solutions. These are great to have so that your date night is fun, not frustrating. Also helpful for parents, you can stop the games and resume if you need to continue later. Well, the first 2 interrelated games suggest you can play as a group of 2 to 8 people, and the other for 4 to 8. They work well for a couple as you'll likely be sharing and looking at materials together to solve the puzzles. Puzzles are only somewhat sequential, so you could divide up the puzzles or colored past mini-games in flashback to work towards beating the time together rather than collaborating on each puzzle to complete the game. We recommend the less stressful cooperative mode if that makes the games more fun for you. If splitting up the puzzles to divide and conquer, or if playing with a larger group, the games would likely be quite short, well under 1 hour. No more than 4 players would be best for that reason. If your goal is to build your relationship and spend quality time as a couple, these games provide opportunities for collaborative problem solving, discovering your partner's talents, and improving your communication skills over 1 hour or so of entertainment. These activities are great for practicing depending on the other and remaining calm under pressure. You could also choose to not set a timer and instead set a goal as a couple to complete the cooperative game, appreciate the complementary skills you and your partner bring to solving puzzles, and enjoy spending time engaging with one another. Escape rooms create novel and potentially heart-racing experiences for couples, which make ideal dates according to relationship experts. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel for more reviews of 2-person games and helpful information on relationship building. By commenting, liking, and subscribing, you support more videos like this one to be made. If you're interested in this game series and are looking for more challenging escape room board games, you might also like Exit the Game. If you're looking for a starter series, Escape the Room is recommended.